Hey guys!
It's Jess and Seb
with another video, and in today's video we'll talk about
the things we hate about dating a German.
But since I'm a German and I can't really add much to this list, we got some outside help, and we're very proud and very thankful for the wonderful Jenna to join us on today's video. Jenna, how about you introduce yourself?
Hello everybody, and thank you so much for having me on this video. I am very excited to talk about the things that I don't necessarily like about Germans. I run the channel Life in Germany. I talk about cultural differences, of course, and then also allow internationals to get the help that they need to relocate and to move here to Germany. So you can check that out if you want. Otherwise, I'm excited to get started.
You should definitely check out Jenna's channel if you're moving to Germany. Well, personally, I kind of wish I knew Jenna before I moved to Germany so I could just simply smooth out all the obstacles when it comes to relocating over here.
This will be a series of 2 videos. One will be about what Jenna and Jess love about dating a German, which will be posted on Jenna's channel, linked down in the description below, and our video.
The very first point that I hate about dating a German, well, I'm gonna say I've only dated one German over here, so these are the things that I hate about dating Sebastian, but I think Jenna will back me up over here. But the first thing is that Germans, they do take a very, very long time to open up. At the beginning of the dating phase, you're just like in this, I would say, tango dancing period where you're like, do you like me? Do you not like me? Like, are you gonna open up to me? Are you not gonna, tell me much about yourself? So to be honest, it was pretty annoying at the very beginning. I would say that Singaporean men are, well, there's a few different types, but the majority are like, okay, I like you, so let's see how this works, and they're pretty much expressive about how they feel.
We can come off as a little bit shy, I guess.
Definitely not an open book, that's for sure. I think also North American men are so easy to read, and I mean, the girls never have to do anything, we just like sit back, and if you like us, then you come forward and you straight up let us know, which is really funny because we also say that Germans are so straightforward, so it's kind of like contradicting each other. However, I also had the same thing, like when I first met my husband, I thought he was awesome, but he didn't want to talk to me. I thought he had like no interest in me and that he was better than me or something, and I just didn't understand. And then afterwards, of course, I always compare this to kind of like peeling back the layers of like an onion or an artichoke, is that it takes really a lot of time, not just in a relationship, like in a romantic relationship, but in a friendship as well, to make friends with a German and to really like peel those layers back with him. I finally figured out, it was because he was so head over heels for me that I had no idea, and I just thought it was pure ignorance. But it takes a lot of time, and then I guess once you really like work your way through it, then it's all worth it in the end. It's just maybe you're never gonna get there because it's really hard to read a German.
To everyone out there struggling with approaching a German or befriending a German, don't give up. We're really good people at heart. Just takes a little while.
Have some patience, because once you are in there, boom, you're in the heart of someone.
That's true. I would say you guys are pretty loyal. One thing that I really didn't love about Germans, especially when I first moved here, was that I've said in our video when we filmed about things that I love about Germans is their honesty and the fact that they're very straightforward. However, on the contrary to that, I find that I really don't like when Germans are honest, when it's unsolicited. So I hate when I'm not asking you a straight up question like, how do I look in this? But you just come up to me and say, babe, those pants don't really look very good on you. And I didn't ask that question because I thought they looked good on me, and I really didn't want to know what you thought. But then if my husband just says, those don't really look good on you, they're not your style, I know that I shouldn't care about what people think, but it just happens, I've never worn these pair of stupid purple pants ever in my life again because of that one comment that was totally uncalled for and unsolicited. So on the one hand, I love the German honesty, amazing. On the other hand, if people don't ask for it, don't give it to them.
That happened to me so many times. I was just like in an outfit that I thought was super cool, super trendy, and then Sebastian just starts laughing out of nowhere. Like, he just burst out laughing and say like, ha ha ha, you look so ridiculous in that. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm never gonna wear this again.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that, and I believe a lot of Germans. So even in my circle of friends, we are very honest, we are very direct, as we said before. As a German, you learn how to deal with that, but I believe as a foreigner, it will take ages until you really get used to it, because it can upset you very much if someone tells you, hey, the new haircut you got, I don't like it, you looked much better before. It's somewhat coupled with a compliment, but still, it's not what you asked for. It's like, why not just say, hey, nice, I saw you went to the hairdresser. You could say it neutrally, but no, we're straight to the point, direct, and sometimes it hits the heart and it hurts you. Yeah.
It does. The next point about hating dating a German is that they like to be right, and they can be very, very stubborn about it. One of the first German words that I learned that Sebastian's family taught me was Klugscheißer. And it just means that Sebastian just loves to be right. He loves to show off his knowledge to everyone. And whenever we're in an argument about something and he knows that he is right, he would research the hell out of it. He would take his phone out for sure. He spends 15 minutes researching about it and then proving it to me that, Jess, I am right and you are wrong.
Well, the Germans have a culture of debate and a culture of thinkers like Nietzsche or Kant and other people like that. So we love to argue. And I have to say, I'm not proud of that.
No, it's exactly the same for us at home as well. And to be honest, it's like at the point now where I just like don't even say anything. Like if he'll argue something back and want to be right about something, I'll just like step back and be like, okay, whatever, you know, it doesn't matter anymore because I've just given up. And then some days I like, call me crazy, but I like specifically Google something, and I don't watch the news all that often, and he's big into books. So one day I'll come to him and I'll be like, oh, hey, did you know like this is happening in Greece right now? And then I'll be like, yeah, you know, like he knows everything. And then I'm like, damn it, why do you know absolutely everything? Like he's just so much smarter than me. And
you just gotta let him take his win, I guess.
I would also say that when I'm in a conversation with my husband, and as a Canadian, I think that we are generally very outgoing, bubbly people. We smile a lot. Some people like to call it fake, but in general, I would say I'm typically a very, very happy person. And if I am upset, then I'm probably still gonna be smiling so that you don't have to deal with any of the worries that I'm going through. However, I tend to find that when I'm in a good mood, dating a German, sometimes they can bring down the mood. And this is in friendships as well, but more specifically with my husband. It's like, I'm having a great morning, everything's going so well, and then he just complains about something. And we in Canada, we don't complain all that often. I mean, I guess as the human race, we complain a lot, but in comparison to Germans, I actually made a video about, I think, 8 things that Germans love to complain about, because it's hilarious. I find it so funny that this is kind of like the peak of a conversation. Like this is how people start conversations, especially when they don't know somebody. But in a relationship, I always say to him, do you really need to complain? Like, it's not like we're at a loss for conversation or for words to say to each other, and it constantly brings down the mood, sometimes on the best days. What about you guys?
So true. I mean, as a Singaporean, I would put it out there to the world of the internet that Singaporeans, we do complain quite a bit as well. But for me personally, ever since I moved to Germany, I kind of stopped complaining because I realized how much of the good things there are back home. So I'm kind of, you know, calling back all my complaints. But ever since dating Sebastian and seeing how he kind of like interacts with other people and interacts with me, he does complain a lot. And especially when we, you know, go and visit like his family or visit his friends, especially during this period of time. I mean, it's difficult for everyone. They will spend 30 minutes or an hour talking about how the government in Germany is so inefficient with the vaccines, or how the Corona app is not working as it should be, blah, blah, blah. And they could go on and on and on about it, and I'm just sitting back and be like, okay, I'm just like tuning out, not actually listening to any of it at all.
I think that also just loops back to the debate culture and being brutally honest. We put our feelings out there at every chance that we're getting, basically. And it can be small things like sitting in
The
traffic,
weather.
someone cutting you off when you're driving, ignoring the right of way and stuff like that. Sometimes it's too hot, it's too cold, it's too wet. So a lot of things can just, trigger you. And for us, I think as a society, it evolved into somewhat of a small talk area.
Yeah.
Where you're still adding a little bit of yourself and your feeling and your views on the world. So it's a little bit deeper than real small talk, but it's not as deep as real talk.
And I think Jenna's video put it really nicely, was that if you don't know what to talk about, if you have nothing to talk about, you complain. I think that was what you said in your video, and I think that is so true.
Yeah, I guess it's not superficial small talk, which, I mean, on one hand, that's nice that it's not as superficial as in Canada when we're like, how are you? And, we don't really care how you are. That's just small talk. That's normal. Another point that I would add when talking about dating a German and not enjoying something is that I feel over the years, at the beginning I didn't notice this so much, but now that I'm married and I have a child, we were talking about the fact that Jess loved, in our other video, loved the fact that it's quite equal here in Germany, whereas I tended to say, for me that wasn't necessarily so true. And that's because in Canada, we're so used to, you get your maternity leave and you go back to work full time. It's really nice in Germany that you have the option to go back part time, but then at the same time, these advantages also somehow serve as disadvantages too, because then people start to expect you, to play this motherhood role. And for some reason, like, the man has just as much opportunity to do this as well, but they just don't. And I feel like, not specifically with my husband, I'm not here to like bash my husband, but I find like just talking to others and understanding their relationships with Germans as well, is that somehow people tend to keep getting pushed into this like stay-at-home mom role or this housewife role where the man takes care of the family. We say that there's no macho complex here in Germany, and there's not. People are very honest and nice and forthcoming. But then I think we are all very still stuck in our ways here. Sometimes I feel like we've jumped back like 20 years in Germany, and in Canada, sometimes I find that women actually have more rights or are more respected than men now. So it's almost gone like totally opposite. Whereas in Germany, I just feel like on a day-to-day basis, even just with general people, like, I don't know, on the tram saying something to me or whatever, that I have to constantly keep standing up for myself and fighting and showing, I'm a hardworking woman and I don't need to stay home with my child. Like, even, I don't know, my accountant at one point said, Jenna, why are you working? Like, if you need to make like so much money in order for it to make sense for you to go back to work, why are you working? And it just like, it drove me absolutely bonkers. And so that's something that, I had a really hard time when I first got here, but it might be interesting to hear what you guys think about that.
Yeah, and I find it so interesting that you completely have a different perspective on this idea from me. And I think this also is a very nice perspective of the 3 different continents that we come from. And for me, I personally already mentioned in the other video about things that I love about dating a German is that I find that we have a very equal relationship compared to some relationships that I would have back home. Like the idea of that the man has to be the sole breadwinner of the family. But over here, I feel, it's pretty much equal. And of course, we'll just talk about that a little bit more in the other video on Jen's channel.
I can just say I completely understand why you feel that way, because especially when you brought up the example of the tax accountant, I think the tax system is flawed in a way that it punishes women with children more than men, because in a relationship, if you have different wages and incomes, they usually give you 2 different tax classes, not really supporting equality, to be honest. So I see your struggle with that. And on the other hand, I think we're also moving slowly forward. And I can speak from my own experience, because I would also appreciate and I would like to also be a stay-at-home dad, and people in my team and just like, spend some time with the family and not worry about working. And I see it in my team at work as well, that my colleagues who are now having babies and having children are also staying home more. But yeah, I think as a society we're not there yet to have real equality. We're now pushing the issue of getting women equally into management jobs. I think this is the focus of the politicians and the companies right now. And the question is, when will that then transfer into enabling women in careers as much as men?
I mean, I do see changes too. Even like just being here the last 7 years has definitely been a positive change. Just somehow feels like we're still, you know, we're so much more advanced in this topic at least. I mean, in many other topics not, but in this topic we're much more advanced in North America than back here in Germany.
Yeah, but I think it's a very good point to kind of wrap up today's video, and just to show you guys that there are so many different perspectives of, you know, what we love and what we hate about dating a German. So please also just let us know if you're dating a German, what do you love and what do you hate about dating a German. Huge thanks to Jenna for joining us today.
Check out her channel. It will be linked down below.
Thank you so much for having me on this call, guys. I really had a lot of fun, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!